Our school building takes up half the city block. It's big. Each morning, everyone crowds around the small entryway and tries to make their way inside before the next person.
Take your sneakers off and go to the machine.
But our school is tiny, just 424 kids.
Go put it in the machine and walk.
There are 5 other schools in the same building. It's called Colocation.
Colocation? Sounds like that MTV show where they make a bunch of people who don't know each other live in the same house.
True story. On 7 strangers.
My name is Batista. I've been going here since freshman year. My first week here, they told me we couldn't go to the other floors of the building or we'd get suspended.
This is Kiala Donald. 9 months ago, I moved here from Georgia. In my old school back in Atlanta, one building housed one school. To me, forcing so many schools in one building seems like it would create problems.
It worked very well. All the principals and staff get along very well.
Lauren Cador is a security guard here. He makes it seem like the relations between schools are peaches and cream.
The students get along. I guess at gym time, they all know one another. They get along very well. I can see that in the hallways.
Despite what the security guard says, kids in our school do fight about once a month, especially with the kids from the school just upstairs. The fights are usually on the streets near the school, not inside the hallways. Sometimes when we clash, it's intense.
So you guys remember last year, there was a big brawl between... One fight last spring was especially bad.
Everybody was just starting drama.
So, people hitting each other, the cops got involved, tried to break it up, punching each other in the face, kicking, jumping.
It made me feel nervous because I saw everybody running.
And how do you feel? Were you scared? I saw this kid break a bottle and throw it at another kid. Then all of a sudden, a bunch of people were coming from all different directions and they started fighting and punching each other. I stood there with my hand over my mouth, shocked. There were girls jumping in to fight guys. The crowd got so big it stopped traffic. Then the cops finally came to break it up.
In New York, when a girl I know sees her friend getting beat up, she's gonna jump in. At my old school in Georgia, fights were just one-on-one. Here they kick you in the face. They hold you down so another girl could get the face punches and face kicks. I used to fight sometimes in Georgia, but here in New York, I try to stay out of it. My cousin, though, she fights a lot. We live together and we're really close.
Is it okay that I interview today?
Yes, it's okay.
After the brawl last spring, we used to talk about how girls from our school had to be careful how they acted around girls from the other school.
People get sucked into it when they really don't have nothing to do with it. You can be walking down the street and somebody be like, yo, you go to... They be like, yeah, and they just get punched for no reason.
This doesn't happen all the time, but in the aftermath of a fight, when tensions are already high, it does happen.
While we were all still nervous after that big altercation, my cousin got into a fight with a girl from the other school. I asked her why she fought.
I don't know, I didn't really have no static with her.
No static. Like she had no problems with the other girl, but for her anyway.
It was like school beef. Basically I fought her because, well, we fought each other because our schools didn't like each other. So, I don't know, we just fought for a dumb reason.
I was with my cousin that day. I watched the whole thing happen while I was shaking my head. It was petty. But if another girl would have jumped in, I would have had to fight too.
Wait a minute. This makes it seem like everybody in our school fights all the time, like we're in rival gangs with the other school or something. But there are really just a few troublemakers in each school that start most of the clashes. Most of the students we know just mind their own business, unless someone starts something with them directly. I'm just like that. My friend Laquan is the same way.
I try to stay to myself and worry about schoolwork, and I keep my circle tight, meaning the friends that I hang out with is very limited. They focus on their work and we don't focus on what anybody else is doing.
There were kids from the other school in my gym class last year, and it didn't bother me. Mostly though, I just ignored them.
I didn't know anyone from either school when I moved here, and I didn't pick up that I was supposed to ignore kids from upstairs. Now I have some friends at the other school, and my boyfriend Tristan even goes there.
Oh, leave it. All right.
He says some of the tension, at least among black kids he knows, comes from wanting to represent the part of the city where they grew up.
These days, a lot of black kids come from different hoods. They rep different gangs and stuff like that, They live different places, so you can live in a Crip neighborhood, you can live in a Blood neighborhood, and you all in one building, so it's tension.
This doesn't just apply to black kids. Lots of people I know feel like their hoods are their family. Assistant Principal Mark says the same problems would exist even if all the kids went to the same school.
The problems really exist within the communities that the kids are coming from. And how do we address that as a city? How do we address it as a school? How do we make sure we fund after-school programs and support programs both outside and inside schools to really make sure that our kids have all the supports that they need so that when they get here, they actually can focus on learning.
So maybe it's not all about where we go to school. Maybe it's also about loyalty to where we're from. Kyla, has anyone ever given you a hard time that Tristan goes to the rival school?
No, but another girl I know was called an op. Basically a traitor. Someone who's really part of the opposite side. It ended up in another fight. Tristan got pulled into it and got jumped. Now he's suspended.
Just over a decade ago, there were co-located schools in New York, but not nearly as many as there are today. The number of co-located schools doubled during the past 12 years under Bloomberg. Now, about half the high school buildings in New York City actually house 2 or more co-located schools. So does that mean that now there's more fighting in schools?
No. Actually, violent crime in New York City public schools has gone way down in the past 12 years.
But so many fights happen off campus, it might be hard to really know what's going on.
And fights in high school are going to happen regardless, whether it's over what school you go to, relationship drama, or just attitude.
Saskia Levy-Thompson is a deputy chancellor at the Department of Education. One of the things she's in charge of is all of the co-location for New York City schools. She told me students did better in school after our campus became co-located. The building where we're in school now was messed up.
In 2002, right before it stopped functioning as a comprehensive high school, there were almost as many kids dropping out of school as there were graduating from the school. If we look now at the 5 schools that are on campus last year, or the last year that we have graduation rates, we have 75% of the kids graduating, and almost all of them have a Regents diploma, which means they're really ready to make that transition into their adult life.
And there were behavior problems too. Back in 1982, someone got shot in the hallway. I didn't know it was that bad before. Chancellor Levy-Thompson had a good analogy.
The block that we live on in Brooklyn, once upon a time, that whole block was a farm. Then they built a whole bunch of brownstones, and each one of those brownstones had one family in it. Over time, they broke those brownstones up into 4 apartments each, and so now there are lots of families. The space is the same, but the way that we use it reflects the modern era that we live in.
Even though there are 5 different schools in one building here, to me, it doesn't change the way we learn, the way we function. I like the fact that the school is so small that everyone in my school, teachers and administrators, know me by name. But we could do more to get kids from each school to talk about our beef in the open so it doesn't boil up.
Actually, our social worker says mediations happen all the time, whenever the school notices the need. But maybe we could also find ways to interact more with each other, even if it might be hard at first. And kids themselves could try harder to ignore the negative influences around them.
And spend more time focusing on schoolwork and less time being distracted by the drama.
And that goes for all schools, not just ours. For WNYC, I'm rookie reporter Kyla Donald.
And I'm rookie reporter Leslie Batista.